Hello, welcome to Narayana Results Success Bid JEE Advanced 2022. Today we have with us the All India JEE Advanced 2022 Rank 1 Shishir and All India Rank 2 Lohith. So firstly I would like to congratulate both of them for their splendid and spectacular performance, and would like to congratulate also for the efforts which both of them have taken for the last 2 years to achieve this result.
Hello, I'm Shishir. I have got Air 1 in JEE Advanced. I've been studying in Narayana from class 5th, and it has been a tremendous journey through this to ups and downs for getting this wonderful rank.
Lohith?
Hello, my name is Lohith. I am from Hyderabad, Narayana. I have been studying in Narayana from class 11. I have secured second rank in JEE Advanced 2022.
So let's start with the JEE 2022 paper itself. In fact, this paper has been the lowest scoring paper in the history of IIT-JEE. So I'm sure many of the students in all over India would want to know from the toppers what were their reactions and how they managed to get such a good rank in JEE Advanced. So starting with Shishir, what do you think? How your advanced paper went basically?
The paper 1, the maths went pretty smoothly at the starting. The multi-correct were a bit lengthy, so I thought I'll skip some questions in that. I just put partial for a few questions. And I went to the matrix match. They got over very quickly by option elimination. And the physics, I think the most of the paper was a breeze, except again the multi-correct had got blanked in multi-correct for some time. So I just left the whole section and went to the matrix match of physics. And chemistry was after seeing the chemistry paper, I was like, the numerical was lengthy. So I thought I'll complete the matrix match first and multi-correct then. Then I went to the numerical of chemistry. So that got over, and then I just took my own time peacefully to solve the multi-correct of maths and physics. And I had some 20 minutes for just a brief revision.
So there were a couple of questions where you were blank in mathematics paper, is it?
Yeah, mathematics paper, few questions I was not able to get the idea of what was the motivation to solve the question. So I was I didn't know what to do. So I was rather to not waste too much time, maybe because the other questions might be lengthier. So I wanted to check all the questions first to see some easy questions first.
Exactly, one wonderful advice what you have given, because many times it happens that a student fumbles across a question and he doesn't know what to do. So in that case, as Shishir suggested, just move on with it. So it doesn't take, to solve each and every question in the first attempt to get, to first rank. Even Shishir had those problems, but with the strategy he could overcome it.
Yeah,
let's hear from Lohith.
What I felt was in physics, in the paper 1, the physics I felt it was lengthy, especially during the multi-correct section. And matrix match we can do by option elimination. It was not a problem even for all the subjects. For especially in physics multi-correct in paper 1, I felt some were different, some were lengthy questions. But overall it was not much difficult, but overall the paper was lengthy. I felt the chemistry numeric section was very lengthy, all questions based on physical chemistry or calculation based. I felt it is lengthy, but I was able to do all questions in there.
So Lohith, what was your take on the math part in paper 1?
My maths paper went very smoothly, no up and down in paper 1.
Paper 2?
In the paper 2, while I was doing the first attempt, I think I left overall about 5 questions, and thinking even after spending around 50 minutes or 55 minutes, I left over 5 questions. And later, after I found time, after doing complete physics, again some questions I left which I was not able to do in chemistry. And after again I found some time and I was able to do those questions also.
So one thing which both of you are found common, what I feel, is option elimination, right? So this year I had that matrix matching list kind of question, where I think you would have saved time by eliminating the option, which is of course recommended, because if the paper is lengthy, doing such a question one or two questions like that, it's perfectly fine, because many times the student don't do that to perfect extent. Lohith, so I think your math score is very good. You lost some marks. Could you be more specific? As a math teacher, I am interested in knowing where you lost the marks and why.
Paper 1, I lost 4 marks. I kept one partial. I did not think properly, and I was thinking it's a waste of time even thinking more about it. Whatever the options I kept, those were perfect. So I kept that question. Another question, I think in a hurry I did some calculation mistake. I kept partial on, I kept only 2 options out of 4.
Which question was that where you made a mistake?
In paper 2, I did a calculation mistake in one integer type, just due to some fast.
Actually, the matrix one you're saying. Okay.
Okay, and then roughly how much time did you portionate for each subject, or did any subject take more time
In
than?
paper 1, I roughly spent all 3 subjects 60 minutes.
Okay.
In paper 2, I think I spent max 70 or 75 minutes.
Oh.
Physics 60 minutes, and I took less time in chemistry and I did mistakes in chemistry.
Okay. Shishir?
Actually, in paper 1, I think I took a bit more, like 70 minutes for maths, and then for chemistry, I think that got over faster. Like that took like 40 to 45 minutes, because generally for me chemistry is my time-saving subject, so that I can check for maths and devote more time for maths and physics, because generally I'm a bit slow at those compared to chemistry.
Okay.
And the physics, like the multi-correct section, those questions felt very new actually. Like they were good questions, so I had to invest more time on that. And in the paper 2, like I was confident that because the paper 1 maths were not that bad, so I started with maths. But the first 2 questions I tried, I got totally blanked out.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm losing time, so I went to chemistry. I had completed the whole chemistry section.
Right.
It went very smoothly. So I thought that because these first 2 questions I got blanked out, let's start with maths single correct. And there also I unfortunately got blanked out there also, like probably because of that impression that maths was hard or something, because of the first 2 questions.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, fine. So I went to physics. I was not able to complete the multi-correct in physics. I completed the other questions. So I was like, okay. So I started with maths multi, and I was able to solve like 1 or 2 questions. Then I was like, I had no choice, so I just went in the maths integer type. I just went from the behind, and the questions there was pretty simple. I realized like only the first 2 questions for me were hard. Rest all were pretty simple.
Okay.
Integer type.
It's really important that you share your experience, because this is something which is going to happen with most of the students.
Yeah.
Even the AR 1 and 2, they fumble, they get blank. But the thing is, you have to just move on and get on with the questions which you can rather
How
do.
fast they come back up is very important.
Exactly.
And the gap, the 2 hours, 2.5 hours in between paper 1 and 2. So how did you spend the time, and then what were your thoughts before getting into paper 2? Were you worried about paper 1? So how was the time? Or you just left it at it and then you just entered the hall?
I was thinking about some maths questions in paper 1. I realized that I blundered one of the numericals in paper 1. So I was like, it's best not to think more, because I'll probably find more blunders in the paper.
Correct.
So I just ate and slept for some 30 minutes and just went to the exam center again.
Oh, great. Lohith?
I actually was thinking about physics questions during that break at initial around half an hour. Later I thought, like I was thinking over, I should not think much, and I stopped thinking and ate and slept fully.
Exactly the advice that the students get from us, that you don't think much about paper 1 and take a sleep, as you both have taken in between the break, because there is a lot of time in between.
Yeah, and like generally after paper 1, because it's a lengthy paper, we get tired after the paper, so we want to like have a good active start for paper 2.
So talking about the JEE 2022 paper specifically, we just discussed that. Let us talk about the preparation that takes you to this level. I mean, to achieve this achievement, you have to work a lot harder. So I would like to know more about it. To get this stage, what do you think? Kitna preparation we require?
Like in 8th, 9th, 10th, I had the basics of this syllabus, so I was like pretty comfortable with most of it. But I think there some overconfidence got me, and like at the starting of 11th, because even online that even propelled me. So I used to only attend classes and not like used to study very less after that. So like naturally my marks started to drop in the mock exams. Then I realized that something is going wrong, so I started studying, and I was not studying for much, but I was studying for a good amount of time. Then after offline started, like we had class from 6:30 to 8, so like we were continuously just studying, and I wanted to just better myself. I wanted to do as good as I can. And
so since we are asking about the preparation, were you always at the top position in your peer group, or where were you in the beginning?
No, like I was confident that I would get top 5, but like at the starting, I like dropped to like some 10, and Yeah, it was not a good ride there.
Oh,
Then I realized like I had to do better. So slowly I had to like climb up the ladder there in thing, and like slowly by the time like by last year August I was consistently getting like top 5, top 4, something like that.
so basically you are a perfect example of a student who can, think if he works hard, he will get there. You don't have to be there at the top first position all the time. Even if you are 10th position in your peer group all over India, then also you can work hard and achieve this position.
So, what were your weak subjects? A
Like
weak subject
initially like my physics was weak
during
and
the
there
school
like,
preparation?
yeah, even during the school and even here like my physics was weak.
Okay.
But yeah, it got better, but it was not like a point where I could say it's a good still, but it was at an average level.
Okay.
And like at the start of inorganic, I was performing very poorly. To say that I would not even get like, I would not, even in our campus, like I would not even like surpass all the people in my branch. I would be like 10th or something out of like 20 people.
Okay.
Okay. That was in the beginning you are saying.
The beginning, like inorganic.
That's a wonderful thing you are saying, because what happens in the beginning, the students who are good in mathematics, physics, they usually find chemistry difficult, right?
Like I didn't know
Same
how
thing.
to like approach inorganic. Then I realized that first let me revise the NCRT properly.
Okay.
So I mastered NCRT, like I read it like at least 10 to 20, 15 times, all the chemistry things. Then I went to other books for reference.
So would you advise, let's worry about physics, maths first in the first phase and let's worry about chemistry later? Is it okay?
No, chemistry is the scoring section. It's best for you to give as much time as for you to chemistry.
I mean later preparation.
Like any time, I guess you should give good amount of time for chemistry, because if you get good marks in chemistry, like it's a highly scoring subject, and I think because of chemistry I got first rank here. I got 1 of 9 in chemistry.
Exactly. But initially you had problem.
Yeah, I had problems in inorganic chemistry.
Exactly. That's
So, physics problem, how did you address?
Like I realized by the revision time last year, by August we had started revision, and I realized like my physics was poor compared to other two.
Okay.
And so like I had like my main goal were inorganic and physics. So for inorganic I had to read. So for physics I was like, I'll devote like 6 hours a day for physics that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 to 6 hours a day for physics, and I would give like 3 hours maths and 3 hours chemistry. So that like
so,
So was it conceptual part or problem solving or both together, or
like
you're not getting
it
things
was
right?
more about a conceptual issue, because I could try to manipulate the numbers generally, but the concepts were not getting into my head like initially.
Mhm.
And then I reduced the physics time for some time, and then I like even between revision when organic is going on, I used to revise inorganic and physical so that my chemistry like never drops down.
So basically to work on those weak areas early on
Yeah.
and then balance it out.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Lohith, so what do you think your weak subject was?
But I realized by the end of first phase, like by the start of revision phase, that I was not weak at physics. It's just that's what I think. It's the mindset issue that I feel physics is weak, but it's not actually weak. I know the concept, and I was able to understand and do better by the revision phase and overcome the issue. In the coming to chemistry, I learned most of the chemistry during the first phase itself. Like in the second phase, I devoted relatively more time for chemistry so that I will never forget it, and it will be very useful if I did not keep anything to revise in third phase. So I devoted relatively more time during my revision phase in chemistry part. Maths, I never faced any problem in maths. By the end of the first phase, I got the grip of complete maths for JEE exam.
What was the reason you think maths you didn't find any problem? Because usually the student impression is maths is difficult and they always find some problem. You said you are not finding a problem.
I was
So what exactly?
inclined art.
Okay. Did you have prepare for any Olympiad exams as
No,
such?
I never prepared for an exam, but I have a little more interest towards maths.
Oh.
But I never prepared for any.
Oh, then you are another example of a student, who has not exposed himself to Olympiad exam and still does so well in the IT. Because the common impression is like if you don't, prepare for Olympiad exam, maths will be difficult. Of course, preparing for Olympiad does help mathematics.
Yeah.
But even if you don't do, all hope is not lost. You are a good example of that.
Yeah, Shishir, so Olympiad preparation and then JEE preparation, they go hand in hand, or what should be the strategy? if the
Like in
student
8th,
wants to
9th,
crack
10th,
both?
near the Olympiad times, I had prepared lightly for the Olympiad.
Mhm.
I was not able to crack it at that time, probably because my thinking was not so mature.
Okay.
In 11th, I had not prepared for the maths Olympiad, but I was able to crack it probably just because I was just a bit older.
Right.
And it was because I realized that the exams are going to get postponed and the Olympiads were like supposed to be held at near January, so I thought I'll just prepare for them.
Hmm.
So like even our revision was like scheduled to complete by like January starting.
Right.
So like we had more free time there, so like I used to continuously like solve past Olympiad papers of physics, chemistry, and past KVPA papers.
Okay.
I feel that gave me a lot of hope, like I could solve JEE Advanced questions, because I learned a lot from solving those questions.
So Olympiads and JEE main in between, boards and then JEE Advanced. So all the exams in the row in the span of 4 months, leaving JEE Advanced behind. So how did you manage all that? Were boards really troubling you, or Olympiads, or mains?
Like for boards, I had to prepare only for like English, and that I took like a week for preparing for English. Like I used to prepare a bit lightly.
Okay.
And computers, I was a bit interested in computers, so I like enjoyed the preparation honestly.
Okay.
And MPC subjects were totally fine. They just took 1 or 2 days.
Okay. And writing was an issue because the entire preparation time is in solving questions in objective pattern, right?
Yeah.
But you have to actually elaboratively present your answers in the exam. So
Yeah.
did you take any special care for that, or it was fine?
Just in case our school conducted pre-board, so that we'll have a good like proper.
Right. Okay. And Lohith, for you, boards and then JEE preparation?
Boards never made any special impression on my preparation. Like
Right.
we stopped preparation just before 2-3 weeks of the board exams.
Okay.
And those 3 weeks I prepared dedicated completely towards boards, like the languages, Sanskrit or English.
Mm-hmm.
And I just prepared for both. Like it did not make any difference.
Oh, okay. And Lohith, in your view, JEE main preparation, advanced preparation, separate, or what should be the student strategy?
For mains, what I feel like it is different from advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Like for maths, it does not make any difference whether it is mains or advanced.
Okay.
For physics, we need to cover a lot of extra syllabus portions, and for chemistry main, we need to read even NCERT. We would not expect those kind of questions in advance. Like they will ask from every corner of the NCERT.
Okay.
So I tried just preparing for mains, like reading of NCERT is one of the main thing for
Okay.
both physics and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
The preparation is slightly different for both. For mains, we need to read NCERT more thoroughly than we do for advanced. For advanced, we need to focus based on conceptual based questions. For mains, it's somewhat memory based questions.
Okay.
Make a difference.
So NCERT preparation, Shishir, when you are reading the textbooks for your chemistry or physics, maybe for mains, so note making, short notes, or note making in the classroom. So do you advise
Especially
students to?
in the inorganic part.
Yes.
Actually, like even in my JEE Advanced preparation, I was like using my NCERT for physics and chemistry just in case some good points I get, because there are some good points in NCERT which the other reference books might miss, and
Okay.
I was like I wanted to cover those as well. So rather than note making, I used to like highlight points so that next time when I had to revise, I could revise very fast. Like I could revise the whole chemistry in like 6 hours
Okay.
at the ending for mains.
Okay.
Basically, your notes help you revise it that fast.
Like I used to highlight the important points in
Okay.
NCERT and I should just read them.
Right. So, Olympiad preparation separately you did not do any of the Olympiads.
In 12th,
because
like
I
I
gathered that you cleared astronomy, physics, chemistry, and you attended Math Olympiad camp.
Yeah, like in 12th, I realized that we'll have too much time for our mains and advanced because of COVID. It might again get postponed. So I was like, I'll just prepare for them, and the questions were really nice, and I think they even helped me for my JEE Advanced to improve my thinking and stuff. So that like especially that I had solved questions from INPHO, INCHO, ICHO, IPHO, and KVPA past papers, and there were a lot of questions that like they felt fresh.
Right.
So that like we can get a new impression of how the professors make the questions, so that like
Right.
even the same professors make the IIT questions.
Right.
So, talking about reference books, what reference books or materials you basically had preferred or you studied?
For chemistry, like for physical chemistry, our teacher had given us notes and I just used those.
Wonderful.
And for organic, I used like books like Peter Sykes, Claydon, and our teacher's notes. For inorganic, because I didn't have that good memory power, I started reading NCERT for the first time. And later, like at the ending, I started reading JDD. And then for physics, I would say that I was reading NCERT and I was stuck onto NCERT because like
Okay.
And maths, like I used to like enjoy maths, so after solving that, our teacher used to give us notes and some prompts. After doing that, I just used to like see some random prompts in YouTube. I used to have fun solving them and learning new stuff, so that was fine, I guess.
Okay, what about you, Lohith?
For chemistry, for all physical, inorganic and organic chemistry, what I did was like read the notes. And for inorganic chemistry, I read the NCRT perfectly. For organic, I did not much focus on NCRT, and even for physical. The notes were like more than sufficient. They clearly explained the concept, and it was more than sufficient for me.
Okay.
For physics, what I did was I read the notes, and H.C. Verma and Kirado, those were the main helping for me. Like H.C. Verma, first to get the basic idea of the what kind of questions we can get based on the chapter, and Kirado, what kind of high thinking approaches or different kind of thinking we get for those ones. For maths, what I did was like the assignments given to me, nothing special.
So in your this 2 or more years of preparation, you must be having those high points, low points, right?
Yeah.
Scoring less in the exam. You must have faced, both of you. So how did you first of all, did you face such a problem, and how did you manage if you face such?
I think I've faced such problems like many times in my preparation. Like there are a lot of low points in my preparation, and like generally when I get low point, my attitude is because of the low point I should bounce back higher every time. That was generally my attitude, and after a low point, like I used to study for more time than normal, then I used to go back to normal, so that like I'll at least like cover what I was like doing wrong, and I'll learn from it so that I don't commit the same mistake again. Like especially in the first lockdown, I realized that I was wasting a lot of time, and so in my second lockdown, I started reading for more time than actually I had even read in like offline. And because I had more independence, I could learn a lot of stuff, because like the teachers teach for less time here in online, and we had to do more of self-study in online, so I could learn a lot of stuff in online time.
I felt low points during both the first lockdown as well as second lockdown. I was somewhat distracted during the both lockdowns, but I overcame the issue. Like after second lockdown, it was completely the revision phase, and it was fully offline classes. So during the revision, I was never distracted, and I think it helped me better. Like I was not distracted, especially during the revision phase. During whatever lapses which I created due to not so concentrated during the first lockdown, I covered those in revision phase.
So your batch had started this, online mode of preparation for almost a year, I think. So did you find any difference in online and offline mode?
Actually, at the start, there was a lot of difference, but by the second lockdown, I understood that there is no much difference in both physical classes, and here we get the same kind of working. They give the same kind of assignments. We need to read. There is nothing much difference between offline and online.
What about you, Shishir?
Like just as Lohith said, like the offline and online, the difference depends on your attitude. Like if your attitude is like you want to read, you want to crack the exam, it should not matter much, and even the online might be better because you'll have more free time, and you can even like look up resources online so that you can learn new stuff.
Correct.
And like in offline, you don't have your internet, so like you're restricted to the books which you have. And like, but if your attitude is like you don't feel like reading for more time, you are definitely going to waste a lot of time in online, because the classes are going to be for less time, because they can't teach for more time. That's just going to tire the student.
Exactly, you have to work your way out.
Yeah, people should learn how to handle the freedom given to them, right? And if they use it properly, they'll be successful.
Exactly.
And then, what is your suggestion? How a student should spend his or her day, during the preparation phase, when they're peaking their preparation, for JEE?
I would say like we have to study for a good amount of time. I used to study for 12 hours a day. I would say like around 10 to 12 hours a day should be fine for a normal aspirant. And I would say one very important thing is to get proper sleep, so that you don't sleep in the classes. Missing a class is very harmful, and that will like even missing 1 hour of class will detriment you, like cause a 5-hour backlog and all, so that will just waste all your time. So like have a good sleep, have a good do some exercise, have good health, so that you don't miss classes. That should be the main goal.
That's
Piece of
exactly
advice.
what a good piece of advice, because I've seen students working, till late night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock they sleep, and they sleep in the class. So it's a waste of their preparation.
Yeah, like I've never
Good that you
slept
pointed out.
after 11. Generally, I sleep at 10, some days at 11.
And not just that, you need to have your biological clock also, because your JEE exam is going to start at 9 or 9:30.
Correct.
If you're not to your best energy level at that point of time, you are going to spoil your JEE exam. So for 2 years, you need to maintain that biological clock as well.
Yeah.
Lohith?
Like what I would say, like we need to take regular breaks during the preparation of a day. Like what I used to do is like take a 10 minutes break after every 2 hours, and so that 10 minutes you should relieve yourself, and you should come again with fresh mindset and to do work for next 2 hours.
Okay.
So taking regular breaks is necessary during the preparation of for a day. I used to work for actually I work around 10 hours seriously during my preparation.
Again, talking about preparation to be specifically, the common problem the student has is, I know how to solve it, but I make silly mistake. Were you to making those mistakes? How frequently you are making those silly mistakes, so-called, regularly? So you are also making those regularly.
What is silly mistake?
Just concentration labs.
Okay.
The presence of there is nothing different between concentration labs and a silly mistake. Both are exactly the same. I used to do, but during the last 1 month, while I was writing repeated exams, I tried to maintain my focus, and I did the same during the final exam. I tried to reduce majority of my silly mistakes.
Basically, you expose yourself to a lot of varieties of practice material so that you reduce it. How about you, Shishir?
I realized like my core source of silly mistakes were because I was solving the questions too fast and skipping some steps in calculation. So like I realized because of that I'm just skipping some step and I'm doing the next step I'm writing was something wrong. And like because of that, like because I'm thinking too fast, like 2 steps ahead, like there might be a conceptual lapse very fast. So then I realized, so I had to like slow down my speed a bit and adjust so that I can complete in 3 hours, but I can like do it in a proper way so that I don't try to reduce my silly mistakes. And whenever I do a silly mistake, like I will just remember it, like I did this silly mistake at that time, so that like I should not do this type of silly mistake again. Like before advance, like that was in my mind, like these type of silly mistakes should not be done by me. Like
So basically, you are kind of maintaining an error book, something like that?
I used to not maintain an error book, but I used to just keep it in my mind, like a rough idea of what all the silly mistakes could have been done.
Okay, Lohith?
I maintained an error book during both. I maintained an error book during my both phase 1 and revision phase.
All right. So, what would be your general advice to the students who would be writing JEE Advanced 23 and 24, of course? Of course, you have already given a lot of advice, but overall, one advice you would like to
sum it up
give.
and then
Yeah.
conclude.
First, I would tell for the students to start from the basics first and then go to the advanced topics. Especially in chemistry, like people just ignore NCERT. They feel that NCERT is useless. That is very important because there's like at least 70% of the questions in JEE Advanced come from NCERT.
Oh.
And like the physics and maths, like first learn the basic concept, then try to do the advanced problems so that you can have a good understanding of the topics and solve previous year advanced and other Olympiad questions so that you can get the idea of how they want to give a question. So that you'll have a good easy way of attempting the question in the real exam. And I would say that consistency is the key. Like even if you're low or high, you are supposed to give the same amount of time. It should not be like because you're feeling low or high, you should give less time or more time and you won't feel like studying. You should still try to study even if you feel low. Like you should not stop studying just because you're not feeling to study. You should just force yourself to it sometimes.
Perfect. Lohith?
What I would like to tell is like try to focus on understanding the concepts, especially in both physics and chemistry, rather than solving more number of questions in physics or chemistry. Like try to focus on understanding the concept. JEE exam always try to test the understanding of yours, and don't neglect NCERT of chemistry, especially for the inorganic chemistry part. Like the inorganic chemistry part, most of the questions come from the NCERT and they're exact the same statements from the NCERT. So don't try to neglect the NCERT of inorganic chemistry.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Let's hope that the ideas shared by these two rankers will help all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to wish all the JEE 2023 and 2024 aspirants all the best for their coming exams. I hope you come out with flying colors.
So congratulations both of you once again, and wish you all the best, Shishir
Thank you.
and Lohith.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Shishir.
Thank you.
Thank you.